I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
You about to lose that job. You about to lose that job. You about to lose that job. Oh my goodness. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. Cause you are taking me for nothing. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. You about to lose.
Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, we love you, know. We came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, the sports show.
Yeah.
That has to be the greatest opening ever. That has to be the greatest.
Oh man.
I was not expecting that at all. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Here. That's a year for America right there.
Word, bro. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show, episode 38. I'm your boy, Big Baby, aka the soul of R&B.
it feels like we've been together longer than 38 episodes.
No, it's literally about to approach a year. Yes, it's definitely about to approach a year. 30. It's more than 38 if you count the doubles. But
Right.
Yeah, we count the episode, like some episodes we split in half, and the 2 pilot episodes we did at the beginning. But 38.
Shout out to my best friend. I'm wearing her shirt. Based on our conversation later.
Ooh, that's dope.
Shout out to
I like that shirt. She got any more? I need that. She might need to get a Mayweather one too, though. You know.
Stop it.
So, shout out to my esteemed cast of bandmates. To my right, the voice of a generation, Pete Rosado.
What's up, everybody?
To my bottom right, the Queen Tay. And to my bottom left, with a death wish today, BK Matt.
What's going on? I'm sorry, Tay. I had to get at you because
now you know what
everybody's saying I've been too dormant. I got it.
Not even wrong for that, because you know what? Today we had over 74 million friends change the United States of America. So thank you to every one of them 74 million plus.
Are we looking for change, or are we looking for a pathway out of crisis? Let's not forget that the COVID pandemic has seen catastrophic numbers over the past couple of days. And while there are millions of people rejoicing in the streets because of the election results, let's not forget that COVID is still real. You get what I'm saying? And wear your mask. So stay home.
I think, and Tay is 100% right, you know, but I do want to reflect on something that we can now call him this, right? President-elect Joe Biden said last night when he addressed the nation, where he was like, you know, we can't do anything about the lives we've lost, but we can do so much to save lives moving forward. I think today, right now, especially, is a day of celebration for the nation celebrating, you know, a definitive kind of end to what these last 4 years have really been about. Honestly, we all know it doesn't end until January on Inauguration Day. But I think this is a collective exhale from like the United States saying, okay, we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. But Tay is 100% right. There is still a lot of work to be done, not only across the nation in so many different areas with the economy and everything, but especially with the COVID crisis. It is not over yet. So listen, I am all one for somebody out there celebrating today, but please, if you're doing so, please do so responsibly. I'm happy with all the news coverage that I've seen of all the people out celebrating across the nation. I'm actually seeing a lot of masks, right, which is really cool. But please continue, and don't forget that just because we have changed who the president is going to be doesn't mean that the virus, you know, is done with us, right? So we still have work to do.
What's a fact?
I'm gonna need
Snapple facts.
Joe Biden to drink his beet juice and take a couple of good workout regimens because these next 4 years are gonna be a ride.
Oh yeah, you know Kamala's gonna keep him in shape. She was out for a morning run when she got the phone call this morning. You know, and I just want to say, I want to give all the roses to Kamala Harris. You know, we could list the resume of all the firsts that she is in being elected vice president. I'm hoping, and I said this on Twitter, I hope this is the beginning of, you know, the foreshadowing of one day soon we will have a female president of the United States one day, you know. But I will say about Kamala Harris, her laugh is infectious. You know, when she laughs, you feel it in your soul. And so every time, you know, when I've seen her laughing and smiling, it's been a great thing. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to the work.
Yes. Amen to that. So let's not waste any time. Pete, world famous quick hits.
Well, I did say I was looking forward to the work, so let's get right to it, right? Let's start in the NFL. The big news coming out of the NFL, the Raiders were fined and lost a 6th-round pick due to multiple COVID-19 violations. Tate's talking about COVID-19 running rampant. It has been running rampant in the NFL, and the Raiders getting fined and losing a 6th-round draft pick. Now, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, called the loss of picks and the fines draconian, but still standing. Roger Goodell doing that. Also, the Baltimore Ravens regained 6 players on their defensive front that they had put on the COVID list earlier this week. So they will be regaining those players for their game this Sunday. Speaking of players coming back, Antonio Brown has been officially activated for the Week 9 Tampa Bay Bucks roster. So he will be active. We don't know how much play time he's going to get, how many snaps he's going to get, but he will be active for Week 9 against the New Orleans Saints. And also Mike Tomlin, last week when the Steelers defeated the Ravens, Mike Tomlin won his 140th regular season game, which broke a tie with Tony Dungy for the most wins by a black head coach in NFL history. Congratulations to Mike Tomlin. Hopefully many more wins to come. In the MLB, and this was the big news of the week, last week we spoke about the fact that AJ Hinch got hired by the Detroit Tigers to be their new manager, and he was the former manager of the Houston Astros, was fired as part of the sign stealing scandal that embroiled Houston. But it's not the only one coming back. Alex Cora has been rehired as the manager of the Boston Red Sox 1 year after losing his job as the manager of the Boston Red Sox. For those of you who don't remember, right after the whole Houston scandal, it kind of extended to Boston, and the Boston Red Sox, and also the New York Mets. Carlos Beltran, who had been just announced as the manager of the New York Mets, was relieved of his post as manager, and Alex Cora was fired as the coach of the Boston Red Sox. But after 1 year away for his suspension, he has been rehired to his old position of manager of the Boston Red Sox. And a lot of people said the fix was in. I don't know. In some other election news, MMA star Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz won a seat on the Huntington Beach, California City Council in recent election news. So, you know, we've seen a lot of sports stars move over into politics, and Tito Ortiz now taking that move over as a member of the Huntington Beach City Council. Louisville versus Virginia, Louisiana Tech versus North Texas, both football games postponed due to COVID issues affecting college football. And, you know, we've been talking about COVID affecting both college football, NFL football. This is becoming a major big thing. Also, one news to note, I forgot about the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys will be starting QB Garrett Gilbert in their game this week, as he was a former player for the Rams, Patriots, Raiders, and Panthers and Browns, but he last played football in 2019 for the AAF, the Alliance of American Football.
Wow.
But after the struggles of rookie Ben DiNucci last week in the loss to the Eagles, and then Andy Dalton going on the COVID-19 list, Mike McCarthy wanted a more experienced quarterback under center. So they had a bit of a pseudo competition between Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush this week in practice. And Garrett Gilbert will be starting against the Steelers for them. Also staying in that Eastern Conference, the Giants have officially benched wide receiver Golden Tate for their game this Sunday after his outburst on his usage for the team. If anybody saw on Instagram, his girlfriend kind of came out and ripped the team. His wife, I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tay. His wife came out and ripped the team over their non-usage of Golden Tate. Golden Tate kind of piggybacked on that, and now the Joe Judge and the New York Giants have officially benched him for this week's game. Again, he's actually going to be inactive, not even benched. He's not even going to dress for the game against the Washington football team. Two last pieces of Major League Baseball news to wrap up our quick hits for today. So Steve Cohen, his sale of the New York Mets officially completed this week. So he is the new owner of the New York Mets. Sandy Alderson is taking over once again as the president of baseball operations. Many of you may remember he was previously the president of baseball operations. Here's what was funny. 1 hour after the sale to Steve Cohen was finalized, the entire front office staff for the New York Mets was fired. General manager Brody Van Wagenen, special assistant Omar Minaya. The entire front office staff was relieved of their duties 1 hour after Steve Cohen officially took over ownership of the team. So the Mets will definitely be seeing a brand new team next year. And lastly, to end our quick hits, we spoke about the fact that right after the Dodgers won the World Series, Justin Turner came back onto the field to celebrate with the Dodgers team. Well, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announced this week that Justin Turner will not be punished for leaving the dugout to celebrate with his teammate, mostly because Justin Turner came out. He did apologize, but also that Manfred was, after speaking to members of the team, said that his teammates actively encouraged Justin Turner to leave his isolation room and return to the field, saying that they felt they had already been exposed and were willing to tolerate additional risk. Manfred's statement said that Turner believed he'd also received permission from at least one other Dodgers employee, and that an unidentified person incorrectly told him that other teammates had tested positive, creating the impression in Mr. Turner's mind that he was being singled out for isolation. So Rob Manfred will not be punishing Justin Turner for going back on the field. And lastly, our final story in quick hits, the Super J Cup, which was announced very surprisingly by New Japan Pro Wrestling. The brackets are set for the first round. We will see Clark Connors go up against Impact star Chris Bay. We will see ACH going up against TJP. We will see Ray Horace going up against Blake Christian. And we will see last year's Super J Cup winner El Fantasmo go up against Leo Rush in the first round of the Super J Cup on December the 12th. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are your quick hits.
I'm going for ACH.
I'm going for Leo.
I have a funny feeling I would not be surprised if we saw finals of Leo versus ACH.
Well, I won't be watching any of that. Shout out to shout out.
I like Leo Rush though. Don't get me
I know.
wrong.
All right, I've
Cool
heard
dude.
of Leo Rush before. Shout outs to him. I want him to win.
You heard of ACH too?
Listen, we root for everybody that's black.
He used to be in WWE. You heard of ACH? Yes, you. If
Was
we
he
get
in NXT?
Pete.
Yes.
I know you know the story better than I do. You can explain it better than I do.
Very quickly, he was in NXT. He was actually in the he won a tournament that they had in NXT. Well, no, but he had won a tournament within NXT for like Rising Stars. I forget the name of it.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Supposed to get a title shot
with the racist stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you also know TJP. He was the winner of the first Cruiserweight Classic.
He was suicide.
You were about to lose your dad.
Well, from
all those people. Yay.
Nah, we like we said, we root for everybody that's black. So
I'm rooting for everybody because I don't know.
Except for Herschel Walker after what he said on Twitter. And Uncle Shannon took him to the woodshed real quick.
Oh man. Herschel should have just
shut up. Nobody is playing with Uncle Shay. Okay.
Uncle Shannon took him to the
Uncle
woodshed.
Shay was not playing. But
him and Jericho.
Everybody, people are just, what a lot of people are saying? They're like, oh, we don't want Biden to win. Good luck with the rising gas prices. I'm like, what about COVID? Like, what about racism?
Right. Oh, how bad?
Somebody on Twitter said that AEW should send a custom TNT title to Biden and Harris and have Jericho hand deliver it.
Oh, it's an ugly belt. That's an insult. It's an ugly belt. It's an insult. It's an insult.
But let's get into this list. We were supposed to talk about it a couple of weeks ago. Some of the anger of it died down, but we still want the smoke and we still want to bring it up. So I'm going to put the list on the screen, go through it real quick. This is in conjunction with BoxRecs and Fox Sports posted it as well. The greatest boxers ever, with Julio Chavez at 10, Oscar De La Hoya at 9, Archie Moore at 8, Joe Louis at 7, Bernard Hopkins at 6, Sugar Ray Robinson at 5, Muhammad Ali at 4, Carlos Monzon at 3, Manny Pacquiao at 2, and Floyd Mayweather at number 1. With that list, I know BoxRec goes off a point system, which is why Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are at the top. But what are your thoughts on the list? Out of the 10 people there, who would you move into number 1? Pete, I'm going to start with you.
It's very tough with that list because I have a lot of issues with that list, and I don't think I can even actually answer your question because I think, especially with boxing, it can be super subjective, right? My biggest issue with that list, though, where the hell is Mike Tyson? Where is Mike Tyson on that list? Mike Tyson was... No, listen, Mike Tyson was 50-6 with 44 knockouts in his career. Love him or hate him, Mike Tyson is one of the most well-known boxers in the world. There are people who don't know anything about boxing who know who Muhammad Ali is, who know who George Foreman is, either from the grill or from boxing, right? But know who George Foreman is, and they know who Mike Tyson is. Right? They will know one of those 3 names, if not all of those 3 names. People who know nothing about boxing. You could probably say that someone like Manny Pacquiao, and even, as much as I hate saying this, even someone like Floyd Mayweather has broken through to that level of you don't know about boxing, but you know about this person, right? I don't understand how Mike Tyson's not on this list. Right? He is easily one of the most memorable boxers in all of history, especially in the last maybe, 20 to 30 years of boxing. You're saying what? Maybe Tyson, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, De La Hoya, Trinidad, all the middleweights and guys in that era, right? And then maybe Klitschko? And that's it? Right? Those are the names you kind of know in boxing over the last 25 years. I don't understand how Tyson's not on that list. And to me, the list loses a lot of legitimacy because Mike Tyson is not on that list. I'm not even going to get into my argument about Floyd Mayweather. I'm not a Floyd Mayweather fan. I will honestly, openly say that I think my Floyd Mayweather argument does come with a lot of bias because I also have a lot of personal reasons why I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm not a fan of him as a boxer either. On a pure boxing argument, I've always made the argument, and I stand by it, and I can get into stats on another show on another day, where he has repeatedly fought men who are beyond their prime.
Yep.
Repeatedly picked his own fights. He has not fought the absolute best. He has not fought the next person up. He is not. He is. Floyd Mayweather has always been a king of picking the fight that he knows he stands the best chance of winning. Okay, Floyd Mayweather is not going to get into a fight that he believes he stands a chance of losing to a large degree. And there have been at least 2 to 3 Floyd Mayweather fights where I've thought they should have gone the other way.
Me too.
Right. At least 2 or 3 that should have gone the other way. Right. But I'll tell you straight out, if he fights Oscar De La Hoya 3 years prior to when he did, De La Hoya puts him on the mat. Okay. If he fights Pacquiao when he should have fought Pacquiao,
7 years
Pacquiao
prior,
puts him on his ass. Excuse my language.
But he didn't.
Okay.
But
because he fought him when he was already washed up. Like,
but he still
right. And I'm not even
so
going
why
to
sign a contract?
I'm not even going to go into the whole separated shoulder thing. It was 7 years later.
If you could not hold your end of the bargain in that fight, why take the fight?
But didn't he? Even 7 years out of his prime, even 7 years out of his prime with a separated shoulder, he put up his prime.
How long did that fight last?
Wait, didn't they go to a distance, did they?
It did go to a decision.
Oh, okay.
They
Okay.
He just got washed. The whole guy.
But they still went to decision. And at the end of the day, Mayweather
wanted it to go to decision. That's
Okay.
what he
That's the
wanted.
only way Mayweather's going to
That's what
fight.
he wanted.
Okay.
Y'all
Okay.
put some
At
respect
the
on
end of the day,
pretty
he
boy.
ran from Pacquiao for 10 years.
Stop.
He ran from Pacquiao for 10 years.
Pacquiao. Pacquiao should took that drug test.
For 10
That's
years.
all it was.
The last 5 years.
Pacquiao should took that drug test. Don't put that on Floyd. Don't put that on Floyd.
There are. Hold on, Matt. Hold on. And because I looked into this, because one of my biggest arguments in boxing has always been the Pacquiao Mayweather issue, and I've looked deep into this. Okay, Pacquiao on 2 different occasions agreed to the blood test, and Floyd Mayweather then decided to want to change the rules. First it was okay, you need to agree on me getting the majority of the money. We can't get a 50-50 split. Okay, fine. Then hold on. I'm gonna say this though. You beat Pacquiao in his prime, you're gonna draw more than you did even before when you would have drawn, right? So let's get beyond that. First, Pacquiao didn't want to agree to the money. Then Pacquiao agreed to the money. So now Floyd Mayweather got no argument. So now Floyd Mayweather says, "Oh, okay. You're gonna take the money." You're going to take the money? Oh, we got to do Olympic testing. We have to do Olympic testing. Okay, cool. Yeah. So then Pacquiao... No, hold on. Then Pacquiao agrees to the Olympic testing. But what happened then? At this point, you got your money. You got your drug testing. Now Floyd Mayweather says, oh, no. We're going to do the Olympic testing, but you got to do the testing the day of the fight.
Exactly.
But only you. But only Pacquiao. Mayweather didn't have to do the drug testing at Olympic. Mayweather doesn't matter. It goes both ways.
You know what he was on?
Yes, we do.
First of all, he couldn't read, so he. Let me show.
No. Go ahead, Tay. Every single thing that Mayweather wanted Pacquiao to agree to,
he wouldn't agree.
He wasn't going to agree to.
No, he wasn't.
And so it ended up becoming a
Pacquiao when he fought Pacquiao.
He did not
watch. He did.
Pacquiao was 75% senior citizen. By the time Floyd Mayweather fought him, right?
Come on, that's like saying. So y'all gonna come up with an excuse for Conor McGregor getting washed too? It wasn't his element.
To keep up with Floyd Mayweather for 7 rounds. So imagine if he would have fought Pacquiao 10 years prior, when Pacquiao was putting people on their ass, right? What do you think would have happened?
He would have lost still.
Who would have lost?
Pacquiao.
Yo, you're biased.
Come on.
You're biased.
Y'all making it seem like Mayweather had a glass jaw. Mayweather did not have a glass jaw.
All my
had no technique. Mayweather's a defensive fighter. That's why y'all all hate.
Can never be
That is why everybody hate Mayweather, because Mayweather is a defensive fighter.
You know,
he's not like Mike Tyson.
It got nothing to do with his. I feel like he was overrated. I feel like I always felt like he was overrated because.
Why do you feel like he was overrated? Because he wasn't knocking people out like Tyson.
No, but I didn't expect that from a light heavyweight or whatever. I didn't expect that.
He's a defensive fighter.
But I didn't expect for him to be like a Mike Tyson who had no stamina but had all power. You get what I'm saying? I'm not mad at how he fought in the ring. I'm mad at the politics that he brought into boxing that's killing the sport to this day.
How?
Well, hold on. So let's go. Let's look at this.
How did what Mayweather do kill? How did what Mayweather do kill boxing? I need to hear that.
Boxing is a competitive sport, right? And you cannot call yourself the best of anything if you're not willing to face the best at their prime, even though it may mean that you will lose or whatever. You will get more respect as a champion if you take on the next, say you're number one. If you're number one, you shouldn't be fighting number 8, number 7, number 10. Right. You should be fighting number 2. How many times did Mayweather fight number 2 when he was number 1? Almost never.
Many.
Almost never.
And listen,
I'm not like even all the heavyweight champions in the world only fight number 2.
No, but Matt, listen.
No.
Y'all picking and choosing. Y'all picking and choosing your argument to try to jerk
if LeBron or if Tom Brady had a chance to be like, you know what, I don't feel like playing the Ravens this week. You know what, I'll play the Ravens next season. Then you're like, you can't call somebody like that the best if they're not willing to beat the best. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And he didn't.
He's the man.
But
no,
beat him.
He's the man.
I'm not gonna get points off of beating up somebody's uncle.
He's the man.
I'm not gonna beat him. He was the man because he was strategically the man.
Right, Matt. I mean, here's the thing, Matt.
Any man that put his hands on women more than he could put his hands on his opponent.
We're talking about boxing. Personal. We're talking about boxing.
All right, Matt. Let's talk about boxing. Because listen, I'm gonna
get back to that list.
First off, I'm gonna agree with Tay with what she said. But you want to talk about boxing, Matt?
That's what we're supposed to be talking. That's what we're talking about.
I get really triggered when we talk about Mayweather because, to be honest with you only fans of his excuse his behavior as a professional. You get what I'm saying? How he acted and conducted business was worse than how Don King did so. Because at the end of the day, it was like exhibition matches. Because you knew going into it, he was going to win. You get what I'm saying? Because like I said, you can't be number 1 facing number 12. You got to be number 1 and fighting number 2 and number 3.
And let me
That's how you choose who's number 1.
I don't like the narrative that everybody's making it seem like Floyd avoided Pacquiao and he did not avoid Pacquiao.
Matt,
he did not.
Hold on, Matt.
Like I tell these conservatives all the time, a simple Google search.
I can Google search it. It doesn't say Floyd Mayweather avoided Pacquiao. He has certain stipulations.
I'm going to type the Google search and I'm going to put it in the chat.
Matt, let's and I want to give Tay just a moment real quick to kind of towel off for a minute because I know she's got a lot of that trigger that's going and she has right for that, right? I'm going to agree with Tay on everything that she said about Floyd Mayweather as a person. Right, I'm gonna agree with that. Okay, listen, Matt. Listen. So let's talk boxing. Let's talk boxing. Do. Let's get away from the
don't
fact.
Make it seem like my arguments was just personal.
No, your arguments.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. My arguments weren't personal. I put that in towards the end.
Right.
Continue.
I'm gonna say this. Right. Let's talk boxing. Right. And we could talk about the fact. Yes, Matt. On paper. You are right. Floyd Mayweather is 50-0, right? He has 0 losses. Nobody beat him. You are 100% correct on that. And I'm going to even forgive Floyd Mayweather the fact that boxing as a sport, because he didn't control this, boxing as a sport is wholly different from when it was when we saw guys like Joe Louis, like Muhammad Ali, like Hitman Hearns, like all of those guys who fought 2-3 times a year and always fought the top challenger, even if they lost, right? That is not the fighter's fault. Part of that is boxing's fault because boxing as a sport changed. It became more of a money fight. Okay, so I'm gonna forgive Floyd of that. But let's look at Floyd's record. Let's look deeper into the numbers, right? Let's go into this. Okay, Floyd Mayweather did not fight a credible opponent on his resume until his 34th fight. And I'm gonna juxtapose two streaks for you, Matt. Let's talk about Floyd Mayweather's unbeaten streak the same way we talk about The Undertaker's unbeaten streak. Because we can make the same argument that Taker didn't fight anybody of real consequence for a long time as that streak was being built up at WrestleMania. And it wasn't until he got to about like maybe 10, 11, and 0 that we really started seeing money matches, right? So let's look at Floyd the same way. Floyd's first really big match was his 34th fight of his career, okay? And that fight, right, was on June of 2005 against Gotti. You're 100% right. That was his first fight of consequence. Then, okay, he fights Mitchell, whatever. He fights an over-the-hill Zab Judah. Zab Judah had no reason being in that ring. Okay.
But it was for the IBF title.
Right.
It was for the IBF welterweight. All right, then. So
they were vacant.
But don't downplay Zab like Zab wasn't nothing. Like Zab was lightweight. Come on.
No, Zab was great. But in 2006,
okay, but y'all saying he fought. Hold on, Pete. Y'all saying he fought nobodies. He fought De La Hoya. He fought Juan Marquez, Mosley, De La Hoya, Cotto, Ortiz, Alvarez. But y'all making it seem like he fought nobodies. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But we're not saying he fought nobody. We're talking about when he fought them.
Morales, like, come on.
We knew he fought good people.
Right.
But that was y'all initial statement.
The problem is, Matt.
That was y'all initial statement.
When he fought them.
But y'all initial statement was he fought nobodies. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. You can't
let me break it down for you. No one is saying that Mayweather fought nobodies. What we're saying is that when Mayweather fought somebody's, they were getting to the point where they were getting over the hill. He fought almost no one in their prime. That's what I'm saying. When did he fight? Pete, if you could correct me, what year did
over the hill stuff like Ali wasn't over the hill?
He fought De La Hoya first.
Okay, his fight against De La Hoya was in 2007, and if people don't remember, De La Hoya then retired in 2008. De La Hoya actually was thinking of retiring before accepting the fight against Floyd Mayweather.
Now we down wins.
Do you know
that's why boxing is dying?
In 5 years before he actually fought Mayweather. It's like
boxing is dying. I'm going to be 100%.
Not dying because
you going down credit wins off of age and experience.
That doesn't have anything to do with it. That has nothing to do with it.
I don't even understand why I understand why people hate Mayweather because he talks a lot. But come on, to sit there and downplay and make it seem like if they would have fought 10 years before they fought, Pacquiao was going to knock out Mayweather. That's asinine.
I knew that wasn't going to happen.
He was not winning that fight. Pacquiao charges at people. Mayweather's a defensive fighter. He would have figured him out by the third or fourth round.
You see, I know that because Mayweather ran from him for a lot of years. So
I'm just going to say this.
I want to know what would have happened.
I want to say this. I want to know, and I want to say this because I'm also following the chat. First of all, I want to take a moment to say for those of y'all who are disrespecting any member of our panel by saying that they shouldn't be talking boxing or they don't know boxing, please keep the disrespect to yourself.
Who said
right?
That?
Secondly, for anybody
who said that? Take the off our page. Who said that?
For anybody who wants to sit here,
get off our page.
Any single one of us will sit here, okay? I have a sports background. I have played multiple sports. I have been active in the sports world since I was a teenager. I am not just a fan of sports. BK Matt has been involved in sports his whole life. Dre has. So has Tay, as well as being involved in a lot of other things. So we are not sitting here prognosticating over ideas that we have no idea what we're talking about. Yes, exactly. Some of these debates may seem like we're sounding personal. And I said from Jump Street that my Floyd Mayweather argument is going to sound like it has some bias in it. Okay? I said that from jump. Okay? But I've been watching boxing since I was a child. My father, my grandfather, and I would sit down and watch boxing. Now, am I as educated in boxing as a well-paid boxing analyst on the Fight Network or something like that? No. Right? Have I ever laced them up myself and gotten in the ring? No, I have not. But I know boxing from perspectives. And what I'm saying is, okay, as Tay has said, Floyd Mayweather may be 50-0. And you know what's funny is when I was thinking about this week, I started to understand Tay a little bit better this week. You know why? Because Tay always is the one person on our panel that talks about Jordan in a negative light. And she always talks about Jordan's record. And we always talk about how Jordan, she has her cases against Jordan. And whether I agree with her or not, she makes her case. And always the one thing we hold on a pedestal for Michael Jordan is that he was 6-0 in the NBA Finals. And we put that up there like that's untouchable. And this week, while I was doing some thinking about this topic, I started to understand Tay just a little bit better when she brings her Michael Jordan arguments to the table. Because so many people who are fair weather Mayweather fans talk so much about his 50-0 record like it's untouchable, but then want to talk about anybody who gets into the record, okay, and starts to dissect the record. That's what statistics are made for. Statistics are made to be dissected. It is one thing, okay, when you play your Madden game and you want to play one of those NFL Europe teams, and then you go online and you're like, oh, I'm 50-0. And then you go online and you play somebody in Madden and you get spanked. But you was 50-0. But nobody knew that you was playing NFL Europe teams, that you wasn't actually doing something against high-level teams. And so when we talk about Floyd Mayweather's record, we talk about, yes, a De La Hoya fight where De La Hoya had already been thinking of retiring. De La Hoya was not in his prime when he fought. Again, Jeffrey, no one's saying that Floyd didn't fight champions.
Yeah, no one's saying that. And I don't understand why I gotta keep saying.
You're gonna sit there and talk about, but you can't sit there and say he's out of his prime, but he was a champ.
About it is that I'm clearly saying that Floyd Mayweather fought Hall of Fame level people.
Correct.
My only problem, I never said, and I'm saying it again for the fourth time, I've never said that Floyd Mayweather didn't fight great fighters, Hall of Fame fighters. My only problem, you said it 3 times that I said that.
No, I didn't. I said y'all saying he fought over the hill fighters.
My biggest problem is when he fought them. That's what I'm saying.
They were champs.
That's what I'm, okay.
De La Hoya was a champ.
Muhammad Ali was a champ in the 70s. Imagine him fighting somebody in the 90s.
So don't say he over the hill if he's a champ. He's defending his championship.
Not when he fought Mayweather. That's what I mean.
So Jeffrey, I didn't say
when he fought him.
That's what I'm saying.
And I didn't WBC light heavyweight, light middleweight champion.
I know a lot about boxing, and like I said, I'm not going to defend how much I know about sports to anybody on this podcast or anybody that's watching this podcast. I don't have to just defend my pedigree. I know a lot more about sports than 90% of the people who watch this.
Right.
So let's be real. No one said. Mayweather does deserve to be on a top 10 list. He does. I'm going to say that again. He does deserve. But I would never sit here with a straight face and say because he has a 50-0 record that he's better than a Muhammad Ali, a Rocky Marciano, a Sugar Ray Robinson, a Mike Tyson. I wouldn't put him above those people. Right. But he's definitely in my top 10. He's better than Pacquiao. I'll say that too. Do I feel that if he would have fought Pacquiao at the prime, that Pacquiao would have bust that ass for him? Yes, I do feel that. And I will continue to feel that. So do I feel like as a career Does Mayweather have a better career than Pacquiao does? Yes, I do. I'm not saying
De La Hoya could have beaten him. De La Hoya and De La Hoya almost did, because many people will tell you, and many analysts will tell you, and even the people who scored that fight will tell you that De La Hoya was leading on the scorecards until the very late rounds of that fight, where, as Matt has made the point, being that Mayweather is much more of a defensive fighter, the later you get into a fight with Mayweather, the harder it is to beat him, because he does keep up his energy longer than most fighters, because he's not trying to throw a knockout punch. But many people said, okay, that De La Hoya was winning that fight up until the very late rounds of that fight. And all of a sudden, okay, you had Mayweather pull ahead. And no one's saying that De La Hoya was his first big fight. I said that Arturo Gatti was his first big fight, right? His 34th fight. Then he fights Judah in 2006. You know, I would argue that Judah was past his prime. He fights Baldemir in 2006. He fights De La Hoya in 2007. He fights Ricky Hatton, who was not ready to be in that position. Ricky Hatton was pushed way too quickly to be put in that position. I will honestly say that Ricky Hatton had no business being in that ring, because Ricky Hatton wasn't ready for a fighter of Mayweather's caliber. Then he fights Marquez. Then he fights a way over the hill Shane Mosley. Nobody's going to argue that Shane Mosley should not have been in that ring. Shane Mosley was past his prime. Then he fights Ortiz, Cotto, okay. Then he gets a quick, easy victory against Guerrero. Then he fights Canelo Alvarez in a fight that I thought was probably one of Mayweather's best fights. Then he has the 2 fights against Maidana. Then he fights Pacquiao. Okay. Now, that Pacquiao fight should not have happened in 2015. I think everybody says that. Jeffrey, I honestly say, I know the Diego Corrales fight happened. I don't know very much about the featherweight division and the lower divisions, so I may be wrong in saying that he didn't fight anybody until that fight. But I'm not too up to date about the lower weight classes, such as featherweight and stuff like that. So Diego may have been a really good fighter, and I just did not know about that.
Matt, I want to give you. I'm sorry, Pete. Matt, I want to give you a chance to respond before we move on, because I know it's been back and forth, but I do want to give you a chance to respond. So, Matt, please give your response.
And hold on, we went far from the list, but go ahead.
I know. But this was good, so I'm like.
But let's get to the point. My whole point is, again, Tavy, I'm not saying that you're saying he didn't fight Hall of Fame talent. I'm saying I'm more or less responding to the fact that y'all said he fought over the hill talent. These guys that he fought, they were champions. They were still fighting at a high level. So to sit there and say that Mayweather's fighting, he's picking people that he can easily beat, that's not necessarily the case. To say that Pacquiao, that he was running for Pacquiao for 10 years, that's not even close to the truth. I don't agree with that. And granted, he fought Pacquiao 10 years too late. But to sit there and think that Pacquiao was going to have his way with Mayweather, no. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to go down. What happened 10 years later was going to happen 10 years before that. That's the type of talent that Mayweather is. Mayweather is revered because he's a great boxer. We need to put more respect on that. He is a great boxer. He is one of the smartest boxers that we've ever seen. Y'all, a lot of people, I'm not even going to say just y'all, a lot of people focus on his antics outside the ring and the fact that, oh, he's not throwing so much punches, but y'all forget the fact that people that his opponents' percentages drop fighting him because they can't land him. He's a defensive fighter. Muhammad Ali was a defensive fighter. Muhammad Ali was just very outgoing and outspoken, and everybody loved him because of that time.
People didn't love him.
People love Muhammad Ali. Our people love Muhammad Ali. Our people love Muhammad Ali.
He was one of the most hated men in America.
That is just as
in the 70s. So let's be honest there too. There were a lot of black people who did not appreciate the Nation of Islam in the 60s and the 70s too. So I just want you to be very cautious and factual with what you're saying.
And that was the problem.
He
My
didn't get
fact is Muhammad Ali was a defensive fighter, and nobody not once sat there and said, "Oh, Muhammad Ali is running from fights."
A lot of people
when he's
said
in
that.
the fight.
They said that. They said that about him and Joe Louis. They said that about Muhammad Ali. They said the same things. They said the same things.
Regardless of anything, Mayweather is one of the smartest boxers of all time.
See, Keith makes a really good point. Keith makes a good point.
He's one of the greatest boxers of all time.
He's a prize fighter.
Give that man his flowers.
He's not a boxer. He's a prize fighter. He will not fight you unless money is involved. Sorry, if you was a fighter, you getting in that ring against anybody and showing you can beat them.
Show me a non-fighter that's winning boxing matches and winning titles and being undefeated.
It doesn't matter about being undefeated.
Show me one.
No,
show me one.
What I would say is, I agree with Keith and I agree with Pete. He is definitely a prize fighter. He's not coming out his house for the love of the sport.
Right.
He's coming out of his house for the love of the bread. Okay? At the end of the day, let's like I said, like I said, the most respect I'm going to give Mayweather, I'm going to put him in the top 10, right? That's where he is. But you can't sit here with a straight face and say that because he's a defensive fighter, that he's the best of all time because he's 50-0.
I didn't say he was the best of all time.
I'm not saying you. But the thing is, let's bring facts to the table. Yes, he is 50-0. Yes, and the thing is, there is a case to be made that he fought people past their prime. We can't ignore that. We can't. I was hearing about De La Hoya when I was like 12, 13 years old. And by the time he fought Mayweather, I was like, damn, De La Hoya still fighting? That's what I thought.
What is the quick question? What is the shelf life of an average boxer? What is the what is an average like give or take an average amount of years that a boxer is in his prime?
I think that's changed over the course of boxing because, again, it used to be that boxers would fight 3, 4, 5 times a year sometimes. So they would run through fights a lot faster and they would run through their primes a lot faster versus now you're lucky if a boxer fights twice a year. And that is the one thing I would give to Mayweather. Mayweather consistently fought twice a year. I'm not a fan of the fighting.
That was below average. That was below average. The average lightweight fought 5 times a year, 4.7, which means that they fought anywhere between 4 and 6 times a year.
Right. So to me, I think it really depends. Again, I don't think
unifying class like.
But again, here's the thing: if your whole here's my thing: if I'm out there, okay, you're gonna get titles regardless as you're building your record. But if I'm out there beating people, right? Put it to you like this, and I'll use a sport other than boxing. Okay, Kimbo Slice came from fighting in backyards.
Yep.
Kimbo Slice said, "I will fight anybody who thinks they can beat me." Kimbo Slice on he did. But what did he do all the time? He says, "I will fight anybody who thinks they can beat me." And he fought people. And he got knocked out. And guess what? He still got up and said, "I'll still fight anybody who thinks they can beat me." And then he went into.
So my question to you after that, my question to that is, where is he now?
He died.
And how is he revered now? But how is he revered now? No, I'm just saying, as far as his legacy, where is he at now?
When you look at somebody who came from nothing, as an MMA fighter who just said, "You know what? I don't got no formal training. I got no formal this, no formal that. I believe that I am the best fighter. I will go out there and fight people." Right? Yeah. Pete, but and that's the thing.
Pete, me and you both watch UFC.
Yep.
I watch
UFC. You rank Kimbo. All right, we all watch UFC. Okay. I'm not doing that as a shot to anything. When you watch UFC, do you think anything about Kimbo Slice?
I think that if Kimbo Slice had gotten into the UFC much earlier in his life, he could have been a problem.
A problem as in how? You really thought he was beating like these men that we see today, or the ones that we see back in the day? Are you really serious?
No, hold up. And I'm not gonna listen because I'm a huge Hoist Gracie and Frank and Ken Shamrock guy. Like I'm big on the old days of UFC, right? But let me just put it to you like this: when you take a guy like Kimbo Slice, who had nothing to lose, taught himself how to fight, fought in backyards, fought anything that moved. And if you give him formal training at a young age, if you would have taken a 25-year-old Kimbo Slice and put him in a multi-million-dollar UFC gym with multi-million-dollar trainers and put him in the UFC, I think Kimbo Slice could have been a problem in his division. But when you take a man who's 40-plus years old, okay, who literally has had, maybe 2 years of professional training outside of if that, otherwise fighting on the streets for 35 years, and you put him in a cage against somebody who's been training professionally for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that's a whole different story. But yes, when I do watch the UFC and I think of Kimbo Slice, I think about how he could have been something had he been discovered a lot earlier in his life. And I think about how good he could have been had he gotten formal training earlier on. Again, getting back to Floyd Mayweather. I don't like Floyd Mayweather as a boxer because I don't think he's a boxer. I think he's a prize fighter. He's fighting for the money. He's not fighting because he wants to be the best boxer. He will fight anybody who runs their mouth. He will beat up anybody who thinks they can beat him. Right? Okay. That is not how Floyd Mayweather's mind works. I don't know how that man's mind works at all. Okay. But I know that he ain't getting out of his house unless the money's right. And to be honest with you, if I was Floyd Mayweather and you didn't offer me I will beat your guy and I will make you this deal. Don't pay me no money. I'll beat your man and then pay me. Right? Because I think I'm that damn good. I think I know I'm that damn good. Right? He fought his fights. He picked and chose his fights. He came up in a time of boxing where the boxer had a lot of power. Right? And he was able to choose his fights.
He was able to choose
his fights.
I disagree with that.
I will agree with you on this, Matt.
You said pick and choose his fights, like as in his competition. When you say pick and choose his fights, you need to mean because the money meant right. Don't make it seem like he chose fights that he can easily win. Yes, it is. That's 100% what it is. It's about money.
So here's my question, Matt.
He just said that. He's a proud fighter. He only wants to fight when the money makes right.
So
don't make it seem like he's only fighting people he could beat.
So I have a question. So I have a question then, right? If he's only making picking fights only if the money is right, why is he revered as such a great boxer if he's only fighting for money?
I feel like he's revered more by everyday fans like Matt than he is by
in the boxing community,
in the boxing industry.
Because everybody want him to be like Tyson, knocking people out.
Nobody wanted him to be.
That's all it is.
That's
just straight going in there and
nobody ever thinks that what Mayweather's divisions could do the same as what a heavyweight fight could do. It's like comparing the cruiserweights with the heavyweights. You can't do that.
My thing is people are revering Pacquiao because he does that.
Pacquiao was not even, let me tell you something. Pacquiao was revered because he never backed down from a challenge at the time, right? But to be honest with you, people do not revere Mayweather the same way everyday fans who kind of know about boxing does, because they see the show, they see the fanfare, and they resonate with that. You get what I'm saying? But if I had to go back to the original list, the list is definitely skewed. The facts don't, like you always say, the facts don't always tell the story. At the end of the day, a 50-0 by Mayweather may not mean the same as a 20-0 Tyson, as a 30-5 Muhammad Ali. It may not mean the same. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You can't have a top 10 list and not have a Mike Tyson, not have a Rocky Marciano. You can't do it because automatically it becomes skewed and it becomes, I feel, open for this type of ferocious debate. But I never expected Mayweather to be like Tyson.
I want to finish this on a quick question, right? Because and first of all, I want to say, like, Matt, I don't ever want to disrespect Pernell Whitaker by saying that Floyd Mayweather is the best defensive boxer ever. I think Pernell Whitaker is, in my opinion, the best defensive boxer ever. Right. I think Floyd Mayweather is a close second, maybe third, because I think you can make the case of Sugar Ray Robinson, maybe even Muhammad Ali, Leonard. I think you can make those cases. But I want to go here, right? Would Floyd Mayweather, let's put this in a hypothetical situation, move Floyd to heavyweight or move this guy down to Floyd's weight class? I don't care how you want to do it. Would Floyd have fought Buster Douglas?
Oh, I don't know.
If I don't care where you want to put it. If you want to put Floyd up to heavyweight or you want to bring Buster Douglas down, Floyd Mayweather would not have gotten into the ring with Buster Douglas. Why? Because the money wouldn't have been right. Tyson walked into that ring, and everybody thought Tyson was going to knock that boy out. Everybody thought Tyson was going to easily take care of Buster Douglas without a problem, because Tyson had taken care of everybody, and Tyson had ripped apart Buster Douglas on verbally. Okay, and what happened? Buster Douglas, we all know, the iconic knockout of Mike Tyson, right? Floyd Mayweather does not put himself. My thing is, Floyd Mayweather does not put himself in those positions. Floyd Mayweather, here's where I will give Floyd Mayweather his props. Floyd Mayweather is the best person in boxing in terms of never putting himself in risky positions. Okay, he would have never put himself in a risky position. And that is the one thing that Floyd Mayweather has always been great at, right? He is great at not putting himself in a risky situation.
Very strategic. Mike Tyson used to.
You did say he was a very smart fighter. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm disagreeing with the point that what you said, Matt. I'm not jumping in.
It's not in terms of him, but it's not in terms of him picking less than their talent and easily beating them. I'm talking about as far as defense. He figures out your plan during the fight, and he uses that against you, and he beats you. If not by knockout, by points. How is that? How is not intelligence? The man is like a walking robot in the ring.
Okay, he's overdoing it now. All right, he ODing now.
How am I overdoing? Ain't nobody overdoing it. No, I'm not going to downplay him because people don't like him. I'm not going to do that.
But it's not about not liking him.
Respect needs to be put on him. Respect needs to be put on him.
And the thing I shouldn't have to even say this. Even if I don't like a player, I can be very fair.
I didn't say that.
Fair. And say,
I said people don't like him and they disrespect him. I'm not saying you.
He deserves the disrespect.
He really doesn't. As far as his in-ring talent, no, he does not.
Like even with Tyson,
God, 50-0, with Tyson, and he's beating championships, and he's climbed weight classes, unifying titles.
Tyson was a 1 or 2 hitter quitter, right? And you knew that if you
took Tyson
to third or fourth round, you're not letting me.
Mike Tyson is not a smart fighter half the time. He lost.
I can't even I can never get a point in. Ever.
Because he lost.
I get mansplained to. Like, I don't know you didn't even let me.
It's not nothing to do with mansplaining.
I was going to say that Tyson lost a lot of fights too. That's what I was going to say. But the difference with Tyson is that he never backed down from a challenge from anybody. That's what made Tyson the killer. Win, lose, or draw. Tyson used to get embarrassed towards the middle of his career. He got embarrassed by people who he had a reputation of being able to have to knock out, like Buster Douglas. He got embarrassed. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't pick and choose, cherry pick his fights. That's a problem. And I don't understand, because you like Mayweather. If you didn't like Mayweather, you would know that it was a problem. But the bias comes because you like him. That's the difference.
No, I respect him. Let's get that straight. And you can't say that Tyson didn't cherry pick his fights, because that Buster Douglas fight was an easy pick. They didn't expect that to happen.
Leon Spinks, those were easy picks. Buster Douglas was not. The thing is, people underestimated Buster Douglas.
Because they thought that the Buster Douglas fight was nothing more than a warm-up.
That was supposed to be a warm-up match.
He wasn't past his prime, though. That's a big difference. Buster Douglas wasn't past his prime.
And how is the people that Floyd Mayweather fought out of their prime if they were champions at the time?
Do you not read age difference? Do you not read career length?
Forget the age difference. They're champions. They're on the top of the goddamn mountain. It does matter.
That doesn't matter.
Fighting at the highest level. You can't say that
they're highest level at that point.
Oh,
that's what you're not understanding.
But they're champions. How are they not fighting at the highest level? They're at the top of the mountain. How are they not fighting at the highest level, Jay?
They fought only twice a year. You got Pacquiao fighting 4 times a year. De La Hoya fighting 5 to 6 times a year. Mayweather consistently fought twice a year for preservation purposes. These other guys weren't preserving themselves the way that Mayweather was.
I want to push back on something you said, Matt. Just because, and we know this especially in boxing, just because someone is champion does not mean they're still at the top of their game, especially in boxing, where we have seen boxers carry championships for years, having very limited fights, right? Sometimes these boxers have 1, maybe 2 fights a year to retain their championships. So we know for a fact that just because you're a champion in boxing, especially in this generation of boxing, no longer means that you are the best of the best of the best at that exact moment. If that was the case, there would be a lot of vacant championships in boxing, because there are a lot of champions in boxing, especially over the last 10 to 15 years, that have not been at the top of their sport and the top of their division for a while. Think about it. Klitschko had like 5 championships and fought like once a year, right? No one was going to say that Klitschko had no competition. No one was going to go over there and fight him and things like that. And then when he did, he lost, right? Boxing is a much different beast. It is a much different beast. It's a different beast than what my father grew up with, than what my grandfather grew up with. The people who watched boxing during the Sugar Ray Robinson eras, the Muhammad Ali eras, the Joe Louis eras, even the Tyson era boxing fans, the heavy boxing fans, people who watch Hitman Hearns, right? It's a much different boxing world. It really is. Boxing is not dying because of Floyd or any of that. Boxing is dying because, unfortunately, and UFC has the same problem, they do not know how to market their fighters outside of people who are consistently winning. You do not have to be undefeated to be a star. You don't. We see it in UFC and boxing all the time that when somebody loses, they discard them as if they're nothing. And that's not the case, right? You are supposed to be able to lose, because in boxing and in MMA, the idea of losing means that somebody came and supplanted you. Muhammad Ali lost, came back, had rematches, and then won. There is no better story in boxing than someone who loses and can come back from a loss and avenge that loss, or someone who loses but then comes back and shows that they're better. And sometimes a loss is the end of the career, sometimes, right?
Yes.
Being undefeated does not mean you're the star. You can lose and be a star.
Yes, I get that, and I agree. You guys, everybody made valid points in this argument. This could honestly be a whole episode in itself.
I think it did become a whole episode.
It did. It essentially did. I do want to get into some NBA stuff, because that is important as well.
One argument to the next.
The NBA is restarting. They're beginning their season again, December 22nd, 2020, a little bit before Christmas. We were talking about it amongst ourselves in the chat, but the question I give to you, who is the team that is most likely to dethrone the Los Angeles Lakers? Tay, I'm going to start with you. Which of the teams outside East or West is the teams that can dethrone the Los Angeles Lakers?
The Golden State Warriors. People forget about them because everyone was injured last year. The Golden State Warriors, depending on the night, maybe the Brooklyn Nets, if they get their stuff together. I'm kind of upset with something that LeBron said about the season, saying that he's going to cherry pick games for the next season. If you're going to do that, then you might as well retire, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be a privilege.
Agreed.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of corny that he said that. You get what I'm saying? But at the end
He's
of the
God.
day, huh?
He's God of the NBA. He can do whatever the hell
Yeah,
he wants.
but the thing is, at the end of the day, it kind of craps on all the times that people defend him as a high level competitor and this and the third. Like you forget that this is a team sport and you're the face of the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna cherry pick games, you might as well sit down.
When did he say that? I didn't even read
Like
that.
a couple days ago.
He did say it a couple of days ago. I was looking at it funny, like,
Yeah, I was like, what? But that's another thing where I could say I can like a player and like a athlete and still not like some of the things that they say or do. That's human opinion. But at the end of the day, I think the Golden State Warriors might be a problem this year. They have a lot to kind of prove after last season was a bust. I think the Brooklyn Nets, like we said last year, still have a lot to prove. I mean, I don't see them kind of dethroning the Lakers, but I think that they're going to give them a kind of a run for their money depending on what pieces they put together.
okay.
But other than that, I mean, the other teams are kind of like whatever to me. Even the Clippers.
Damn Clippers. Matt, your thoughts?
And I've been was saying that since the beginning of last season.
You were. You definitely were. Matt, who will dethrone the Lakers?
Honestly, I don't see really. I mean, granted, there's going to be teams that's going to compete with them, but as far as dethroning them, we're talking about two of the top 5 players in the world on the same team, so it's going to be hard to dethrone them. That's my take on that. But if you want to say teams that's going to compete and give them a challenge, yes, I will say the Warriors because that big three is still intact. They have chemistry. I'm optimistic to see what they're going to do in the draft, what moves they're going to make. Because they still got Wiggins, you know. They got Kevin Looney. They could get rid of that. They could dump that and then pick up somebody. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. That's their big three.
That's how it started. So.
That's how it started.
So they got their big two. I'm
not gonna do this with you. I'm not gonna do this with you. I'm not. Yeah, because it's gonna be another.
I think that Iguodala left and KD left. I thought that was the big three, but whoa,
Iguodala was coming off the bench. What are you talking about?
Still better than Draymond.
You gotta stop. You really gotta stop. You really gotta stop. I know people are downplaying the Clippers, but they're still the Clippers. I mean, they're still a top team in the Western Conference. I'm not sitting there thinking like, you know, they're gonna dethrone the Lakers or not, but they're still there. They're still formidable. After the showing of Dallas and Denver, we're talking about a young Denver team that put a lot, that went back and came back on two very formidable opponents in Utah and the Clippers for that matter. So Denver's coming back and they're going to be ready because they have that experience. That's another team on the West that can give them problems. Luka is a problem. With a healthy Porzingis, and if Porzingis matures up, they can be a formidable opponent. But on the East, Miami's still that threat. We don't know where Giannis is going to end up. He has to still do technically another year in Milwaukee unless they trade him. He's still. I mean, I'm not saying Milwaukee. I'm just saying we don't know what's going to happen.
He's contractually obligated.
I'm not saying anything about Giannis. Your thing on Milwaukee.
No, yeah.
I'm talking about Giannis. Like I'm shaking my head. Like
unless they get a point guard like as an Rondo or Chris Paul, because I've heard talks about Chris Paul potentially going there too. It's between Milwaukee, Milwaukee, the Knicks, the Clippers, again, which I didn't understand that, and the Lakers because they haven't re-signed Rondo.
Can you imagine Chris Paul finally going to the Knicks after everyone was saying that he was supposed to go there after Lala and Melo's wedding? That was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Ah,
it still won't help the Knicks as
good
far as
times.
making them a threat. Yeah, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, Miami's a threat. Boston's still around. Ain't no telling what Doc is gonna do with Philly because I'm hearing a lot of rumors in the air for that. And like we've been talking about the Nets. We talk about the two top players in the world on the Lakers. You still got, Kevin Durant, and who's also one of the top 5 players in the world. If he's at 80% with that roster that they have, they are a threat. They are 100% a threat. He doesn't even have to be 100%. He could be 80%, and they're a threat because he doesn't even have to be athletic. He's going to give you 27, 28. So, I mean, the Nets and the Warriors are my choice, though, as
Okay,
far as threats to them, not dethroning them, because I don't think
gotcha.
anybody can really dethrone them right now.
Pete.
I have to agree with Tay and the Warriors. I mean, a lot of people sleep on the fact that the Warriors are getting back a healthy Klay Thompson, a fully healthy Steph Curry, Draymond, all of that. But if what LeBron says is true, right? I think because one of the biggest things we're going to find this year is you're going to see a lot of veterans with a lot of load management. You're going to see a lot of veterans, especially a lot of these teams that were playing in the playoffs, in the bubble. They're getting maybe 2-3 months off, right? You're going to see a lot of people cherry picking games. You're going to see a lot of people kind of sitting out a couple of games.
That's so trash. Because a lot of those teams had rest since March, man. A lot of those teams didn't even make it to the bubble, and the teams that did make it to the bubble, a lot of them had an early exit. It's comparable with a usual season rest before boot camp. So,
my issue is if LeBron James, especially speaking about LeBron James, if LeBron James decides to cherry pick parts of the first half of the season and then comes on strong, obviously you're giving the Lakers a bit of an advantage that no one else has because you have a fully healthy LeBron James coming in off the bench, off of some rest, right? But I think in the West, the teams we got to worry about, depending on the moves that are made, Denver, can they add to that core, right? What are the Warriors going to have, now? We obviously don't know how free agent signings are going to be, who's getting who in the draft. In the East, obviously you got to worry about Miami, right? You have to worry about that team. They're coming back. Are they going to make any moves? There's been loads of rumors about Giannis and Miami. We'll see how that works out, if that works out. We all know what the Nets have. So I think it's really the same teams right now that they had to worry about in the beginning. But I think in the West, you have a lot more teams. Matt makes a great point about Dallas. I think Dallas, with a healthy Luka, with a healthy Porzingis, getting some more players around that team could be interesting. But what I think is really interesting is who are the Lakers going to get? Rumor came out today that Gordon Hayward is trying to get his way out of Boston. We've been hearing rumors. Yeah, right? We've been hearing rumors that Devin Booker wants out of Phoenix, right? So, it's going to be very interesting to see how these players move, right? I had a friend of mine today who said, hey, Gordon Hayward could come to LA if he want.
No, the fuck he can't.
Now imagine someone like Gordon Hayward replacing a Danny Green. That would be an incredible spot-up shooting weapon for the Lakers. So I think a lot of it is going to be based on how these free agents and the trade season pans out. But I think really the teams they got to worry about are Denver, are Miami, are the Warriors, are the Nets. Those teams are the teams you really got to worry about. And mostly because most of their players that they didn't have last year are coming back from injury.
Agreed. I think everybody made some valid points. My quick take on it. I think I'm gonna have to side with Matt on this one and saying I don't see a team at the present tense that's gonna dethrone the Lakers, barring injury. But on the other hand, with the points you got, everybody has made, the Warriors, and the Nets. Those are the two teams I'm kind of looking at this year to kind of make some noise and compete. because anything can happen in the playoffs. But for a team like Golden State, who's been sitting for almost 8 months, that's basically a whole season. Basically, been sitting for almost a whole season. Coming back to start playing, it's a lot. It's a lot. So we just have to wait and see. But you remember Matt? You remember last year when we were doing fantasy basketball?
I try to forget it.
Yeah,
I didn't do so well.
Matt was at the bottom of the list, and every time anybody played Matt, they were trouncing him. Right?
It's because I don't understand fantasy basketball like that. That's the only reason.
It's harder than fantasy football.
Fantasy basketball, basically, you have to watch it every day. Fantasy football, you have to watch it once or twice a week because of Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. But basketball,
fantasy baseball is
fantasy baseball is terrible. I've never gotten into it.
We should do that though. We should do fantasy
never
basketball.
doing fantasy baseball.
No, I mean basketball. Fantasy basketball.
Yeah, no, we're definitely getting into that. But as we get into the standings, we're talking about you being at the bottom. I've taken your place amongst our pick 5 rankings. So I am 11.
Dre is currently at the bottom at 11-9.
Yeah, I'm over 500, so that's good.
This is true. You're better than both New York teams.
I am. Progress.
There you go.
But I want to get into the pick. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's not forget the rest of the rankings. I can't make this about myself. Queen Tay is at 15-5. She one pick that pretty much bid her.
I slept on. Let me tell you something. I completely forgot. I wanted to change my pick before the game, but I was so busy. Last weekend I was like, "Yo," because remember I was like, "I don't feel good about that pick."
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah,
you did say that.
I told you that Ravens Steelers game was going to be close.
Matt is what are you and Matt's records right now?
Matt is currently in leading the standings at 16-4.
Look at God.
Tay's 15-5. I am in third place at 14-6. So there's a 2-game swing between third and first place. And then Dre sitting there at 11.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. But let's get into the pick 5 this week. As usual, I say the games, you tell me your winners. So we're gonna start with the Colts and the Ravens. I'm going to go. I still can't go against the Ravens, and I don't really like the Colts, so I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Pete.
So you're taking the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Colts are undefeated at home. Colts are undefeated at home, but I do think Lamar Jackson is going to want to come back. The running game for Baltimore kind of bothers me a little bit, but I am going to take Baltimore over the Colts to give the Colts their first home loss this year.
Queen. Colts, Ravens.
I need a minute. Come back to me.
I don't.
Matt.
Ravens.
I feel bad picking them last week. I'm just like.
So now you're looking like you don't know. I get you. You said Ravens?
Yeah.
All right. So you said Colts, Pete, right?
No, I took the Ravens.
So everybody's in favor.
Everybody did the Ravens, I think.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So everybody's in favor of the Ravens. Seahawks, Bills.
That's going to be good. Are we frozen?
Sorry, Seahawks, Bills. I'm going with the Seahawks. Pete.
I am taking the reigning, uncrowned MVP in Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
Jay.
I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Matt. That look like he about to take them damn Bills. See it in
I'm
his face.
thinking about it, bro. They're not. You gotta look at it like they're 6-2. They're
They're a
6-2.
good team.
They're very good.
They're
team.
a real good team, and
Yeah.
They're the best team in New York right now.
Shut up, please. Come on.
It's true.
Hold up, we're past it. The hell with
And
you
at
adding
least they won. They won their game with their quarterback actually throwing a touchdown, unlike Miami, where Tua didn't throw anything.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
You know, them Alabama quarterbacks, huh?
Man, them Seahawks. All right, everybody's we're 4 for 4 all together the past 2 picks. All right, here's one that I know is going to be split. Saints, Bucks. I went against the Saints last time. This happened. I'm going with the Saints this time.
Gotta be careful though. Antonio Brown, Tom Brady's new pet project.
His friend.
It's fresh. He been living it up with Tom Brady and family.
Mm-hmm.
Living in his house.
Living his best life. So, and Antonio Brown wants to make a statement. So I'm just saying.
And who was the last quarterback to throw a touchdown pass to Antonio Brown?
Brady.
Tom Brady.
But I don't trust the Bucs defense against the Saints offense.
I don't trust not too many defenses against the Saints offense, honestly.
Right. Like I've had
Okay,
the Bucs
are you taking the Bucs, Tay? Did you pick the Bucs?
Yeah, she wasn't clear.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't clear. Definitely wasn't clear.
All I'm just saying. It might be a draw.
It might be a draw.
Oh,
this ain't Philly, Tay. This ain't Philly. We don't do ties up in here.
I would be pissed if we pick this game and it goes to overtime and it's a draw.
I just want to say, by the way, can I just say though, I still reserve my right to rag on the Philadelphia Eagles, even though I said that for the next 4 years I will never say a bad thing about the city of Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but I still reserve my right to rag on the Eagles.
For sure. So Pete, who are you picking?
I'm taking the Bucs. I am going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think their defense can actually do well. They have a very fast defense. They have one of the hardest hitting defenses. And to be very honest with you, Drew Brees has looked like old man River this year. He has not looked great. He has not looked like the Drew Brees we're used to seeing. So I don't know. I don't usually like to take Tampa, but I'm going to take Tampa against the Saints.
Queen.
I'm taking both of them.
No.
You can't do that.
This would be the first time in history someone will take the tie spread over a win or a loss.
Let me just think.
Uh-huh.
I got to meditate on it for a second.
All right. Matt.
My blood pressure is like...
Let me actually see, since you mentioned that. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Matt.
Unhealthy wealth of riches. I gotta go with Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
I want to see something real quick. Hold on here.
It's killing me to do it, but I'm just.
So Tampa Bay, the latest odds. Tampa Bay. Let me see. Here.
Favorites.
Deserve a great night's rest. So turn to Raymore and Flanagan.
Yeah, believe so here. Yeah, it's Saints are given 4.5 points.
Oh damn! I got the Buccaneers defense in 2 this week. Oh man, I gotta take them out.
Saints are given 4.5 points. So I don't know.
All right, Tay, TikTok.
This is the last game?
No, I don't think it is. No.
Come back to me.
You the only one left.
Yeah, you the only one left.
Next game.
Okay. Bears, Titans. I'm going with the Titans.
Damn.
I'm going with the Titans.
Wait, who?
Go with the Titans. I don't care. I'm tired of the Bears
I don't
disappointing me and making me look bad in front of Pete.
I don't know.
So I'm going with the Titans. Like,
I don't know.
They are who we thought they were. I keep telling you.
Not Pete. We not going there today. What's their schedule? I mean, what's their record?
Titans. They're like 7-2, right? Something like that.
I'll tell you right now.
5-2.
5-2, right?
5-2. And they're on a 2-game losing streak.
I'm going Titans.
Oh, you too. Okay.
I'm going Titans. And it kills me to do it because I want to usually get at Pete. But yeah.
I'm gonna continue.
I think I'm gonna go with the who you got, Pete?
Who you got, Tay? Ladies first.
Oh,
you know he gonna pick the Titans. He don't like Chicago.
No, he's picking the Titans.
You know he's picking the Titans.
I mean, you never know that until I make the pick.
You make
arguing
the
about
Titans
every week.
Go with the Titans.
You picking the Titans. I don't even know why Dre asked you.
Listen, I could be like Philly. I could start red and go blue, right? For all you know, you think I'm gonna pick the Titans, and then I'm gonna pick. Listen, the Bears have been very good. The Bears defense has shown me some things, and I think for this game, Bears versus Titans, I'm picking the Titans.
You got that one little. You know how like it. You know how you got that little swoop that stay perfect. The soul glow. It one sticking out because you're lying.
Right. Because you wanted to lie so bad.
The Bears?
No, he
went to the Titans. He went to the Titans.
He was building it up just for it to be the Titans.
You know,
so
I was trying to get that heel promo, that Mark Henry retirement promo. Like, I'm gonna retire.
That didn't work for us.
Didn't work out for you, at all. Yeah.
And the only other
game to the Bucks, Tay.
No. We have one more game. We got
one more. Okay. Okay.
The only other game that looked somewhat interesting, even though both teams were terrible. Huh?
The Cowboy game?
No, absolutely not. Do I have to play? No. That's for Atlanta. No, I'll play that another time.
The game?
Giants versus the football team. Because the NFC East is just...
it just sounds stupid what you said it. The Giants against the football team.
They are the football team. So
the Washington football team.
I'm going to go with the football team because Danny Dimes is good for Danny turnovers. And
wait a minute. So
But the Giants looked really good against the Bucks.
They did.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
The Giants looked really good against the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
They lost that game by the skin of their teeth. They should have won that game.
Which is why I picked the Saints over their Bucks too. But I'm going with the football team. The last time I picked against the Giants, the Cowboys did beat the Giants. So let's make it 2 for 2.
Here's my question, Dre. You picked the Giants and the football team instead of the Raiders versus the Chargers, which is probably going to be a really good game.
I picked this game for comedic purposes.
Miami and Arizona. Come on, the second coming of Tua.
Nobody wanted to see Tua in the first place. I'm pretty mad
Jets and New England. That's going to be how are we not picking the Jet New England game? The Jets might get their first. The Jets might get their first win of the season.
Nobody didn't game, Jets.
Cam Newton is going to wild out on the Jets.
Yes, he is. Especially all that talk about him this week about how he needs to reevaluate if he's going to have a career after this. I think that's such trash.
This man about to throw 5. The man about to throw 5 touchdowns against the Jets, bro. Sorry, Matt. But
so, Dre, you're picking the Giants over the football team.
No. I'm picking the football team over the Giants.
Oh, you're taking Washington.
No, I'm taking the football team. I'm not calling them that state until that man officially gets out the house.
So, who you taking, Dre? Matt, who you got? The football team or the Giants?
I was about to say the Pee Wee Football Little Giants from the DVD that I was watching last
Ain't
night.
nobody
but
listen.
clearly
As long
they're
as
not.
nobody disrespect my girl Becky Icebox O'Shea, we
Boy,
good.
Icebox was the truth. She was the
Becky
truth.
Dog.
She was a
Icebox
dog.
O'Shea and the annexation of Puerto Rico. Okay, the greatest play, the
Yo,
greatest play ever.
I'm mad you even remember that. Oh my God, Joe.
The annexation of Puerto Rico. The
You know what
greatest.
that do to you when you 5 years old? Like, what the heck does that even mean?
It is. It is one of my two. It is one of my three favorite childhood sports movies.
Mine
It was
too.
Little
100%.
Giants. It was Mighty Ducks, and it was Air Bud. Air Bud
wasn't bad.
Air Bud was
The
a great
first
movie.
one wasn't bad.
No, the first one. That's the only one we talk
First one
about.
wasn't bad.
It's the only one we talk about.
I'm going with the Giants.
Okay.
I am also going to take
going-
the Giants. I have no faith. I listen. I think Kyle Allen is a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins to me is a guy that should have stayed a couple more years in college. But I think the Giants are going to have to do something. And this may be this may be the one chance both New York teams have at a win. And you know what? I've actually just talked myself out of the pick. I'm taking Washington.
All right, then. I was about to
All
say.
right.
You dragging it right now. You
The
100%
three-
dragging it.
The three New York football teams. Let's not forget.
I legitimately was like, you know what? I'm going to pick the Giants. I think this is good. And then I realized, oh wait, Golden Tate is not playing, and they have nobody else.
No. Pick the Giants. Go ahead.
Saquon.
They wasn't throwing it to him anyway. They wasn't throwing it to him anyway.
Over some dumb. We need to put more highlight of it. He's not going because he got into an argument with one of the coaching staff. I'm going with the orange hair Warriors team.
The orange hair Warriors team.
That's
All
what I'm going with.
I'm gonna switch to. I forgot Golden Tate wasn't playing.
So we're all picking the football team. Oh,
I was gonna let them be stupid and do that. I'm not even gonna. I was sitting there like they are not. They really not doing this. I know they know what I know. Because I could have sworn Pete said it earlier, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like, I know they know what I know.
Well, that means that the only game that could decide how things change will be this one, the Saints versus the Bucks. We have picked the same teams in every single one of these games. But now we are just waiting on Tay. Are you taking Drew Brees and the Saints?
You said wait to the end, so now we waited. We here.
Jay, you should have put the SpongeBob graphic 21 years later.
Right.
Right. Still ain't got nothing.
We're not talking about SmackDown until you get this pick. So.
Right.
Oh my goodness! I did not even watch SmackDown. How about
you mean to tell me I gotta ask my cousin to do an interview?
That was the only.
No. Don't change the subject.
Maybe that's what it is. No, great. That might be the issue. That might be the issue. Tay's got to ask Roman first before she can make this pick.
Clearly. Just pick Tom Brady. It's okay. Pick Tom Brady.
She has no access.
The worst that can be is I picked Tampa Bay.
I'm picking the Bucks.
All right, so I'm the only one who picked the Saints.
Yes, so that means
that means it's not gonna matter. Listen, I'm at the bottom. I'm a little bit farther.
I can't wait until I win, and then it's gonna be Tavius tea time.
Just come up with no.
It's gonna bring me so much pleasure if we end this season and I beat you. It's gonna give me so much pleasure.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's not happening.
All right.
I'm gonna start compromising. I'm gonna start compromising, y'all. I'm about to start hitting y'all up on the side. Yo, pick this person. Yo, flip this around. You have to lose a couple weeks, but this person gonna lose too.
I think like if you would have picked a game like the Raiders and the Chargers, that's a game that might create a little bit more dissension, right? Because it's like,
really?
The Chargers right? But Vegas has had a great run. The Raiders, that defense has been great. They've been doing some really good things. we're waiting for Justin Herbert to break through if he's going to break through. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Justin Herbert to me has had the worst luck for any rookie quarterback. That boy has been playing
every time.
That boy has been playing out his mind, and they can't buy a win in San Diego.
All right, so
I agree. So, let's get into some SmackDown. So, the results of SmackDown so far. Seth defeated Otis to qualify for Survivor Series for the SmackDown team. Ruby Riott defeated Natalia and Zelina Vega for Ruby Riott to qualify for SmackDown's team.
Thank God they're using Zelina Vega, though. And she looked good in that match.
King Corbin defeated Rey Mysterio to qualify for the men's SmackDown team.
Mysterio got robbed, bro.
Jey Uso defeated Kevin Owens in a hard-hitting match.
A really good match.
You said, and then, are you forgetting how we started SmackDown?
We get into that. We get into that. He's just reading the results.
I was about to say. The way that he had that sentence structured was like that was going to be his last match. And I was like, wait a minute.
No. See, look, keep you on your toes. The SmackDown Women's Championship match. Sasha Banks versus Bayley. This is the end of the feud. This is the match I really wanted to speak about. Definitely between the Jey Uso match and this match, basically they're 1A and B for the match of the night, slightly more towards the women's championship match. What are your thoughts on that match, Matt?
Which match are you talking about?
The SmackDown Women's Championship match.
Sasha
awesome.
Bayley.
It was an awesome match. Perfect ending.
Mm-hmm.
It was clean. With the bank statement right in the middle of the ring, tapped out. It was a real good story ending to that storyline. It was a real good match. I liked the Carmella addition at the end. I'm not gonna hold you. The jury's not out with the Carmella gimmick. I love the fact that Michael Cole was like, so Corey, what do you think? He was like, I love that part. I was dying. He said, what do you think, Cole? I loved it. He gave him a slight. I don't know if you noticed when he talked about Carmella, he talked about her, and then he gave like the slight little eyebrow right at the end of it, just like that kind of the wink and the nod to anybody who knows. Yeah. Right. I like I said, it's not out yet because again, this is like our first time actually seeing her in the Thunderdome, and seeing her get knuckle up a little bit. Granted, she super kicked Sasha when she got to the top of the stage or whatever. So I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, she's a former women's champion. So I mean, she's a viable opponent for Sasha. So I mean, let's just see where it goes. I'm glad that the Sasha and Bayley thing ended. I just wish crowd could have been there. I think it would have been even more special for that storyline. But beggars can't be choosers. You get what you get, and it was pretty good.
Pete, your thoughts?
You were about to lose your job.
No, I really loved. I was actually surprised that it opened SmackDown, but I was very, at the same time, pleasantly surprised by the opening of SmackDown. I thought it was a really great match to open the show with, and a really nice way to end that match with the Carmella thing. Though I will say that the ending to that match with Carmella super kicking Sasha to finish that feud and kind of punctuate the beginning of the next feud felt like it was more something that should have happened at the end of the show. Right? Like that could have been one of those where Sasha wins, big kind of thing. Sasha goes up the ramp, she puts up the title, turns around, big super kick from Carmella, the big X Factor on the stage, and then Mella's kind of like posturing to the crowd as the end graphic kind of comes on. It felt more like an end of the show kind of situation more than something that we do at like 8:15 and then we don't really talk about it again for the rest of the show. That was the only thing that kind of irked me a little bit. But to me, the best part of SmackDown is the continuation of Roman Reigns as Michael Corleone, okay, as the Godfather. Like the way he's working his mannerisms, the way he's working his speech patterns, the way his facial expressions are working, and the way that he interacts with Jay, and even the way he interacts with Paul. To me, my favorite interaction last night was after he kind of dispatches Jay. He doesn't turn. He never looks at Paul. He keeps his back turned to Paul, and he says, did you know about this? And he was like, oh, well, I kind of found out about it while it was happening. And he was just like, I pay you to know this. I pay you to know everything so I don't have to. Right? And kind of gives him that look. And all of a sudden you see like that fear in Paul Heyman. And I'm loving the way they're really running this Godfather vibe, this Michael Corleone vibe out of Roman. I'm really loving it. I'm calling, it's the Samoan Godfather to me right now. So it's really great. It really is. Like, if anybody who's ever watched The Godfather 1 and The Godfather 2, and you watch the way that, especially Michael Corleone, the Al Pacino's character in those movies, the way that he interacts with characters, especially before he becomes the Godfather and then after he becomes the Godfather, I see a lot of those nuances. Those very kind of
more Vito than Michael.
Okay.
I see Jay being kind of the Michael in this, and Roman being more of the Vito.
See, I get more of a Sunny vibe. From Michael. Like, I mean, not from Jay, where it's like he could have been the head. He knows he has the abilities to be the head, but he's kind of being suppressed. So they kind of took like that Sunny character and went in a different direction with it. But yeah, a little bit of Fredo too. Except that Jay's a little bit more powerful than Fredo was in those movies. But I can completely see where you're getting at.
Favorite movie. So
yeah. I completely get what you're going at. Go ahead, take it from there.
I didn't watch SmackDown.
Aw.
I was watching CNN.
I think we've all been watching CNN. I have this really cool thing on my TV because I have where I stream. I have my Fire Stick, and where I stream my TV for, I have like a I could have multiple screens on at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so like even Wednesday, I had CNN, NXT, AEW, and it's always been CNN and something else on my TV for the last couple of days. So I completely get it, Tay.
I know
all politics all the time. Like a lot of my friends who worked on some of the campaigns, cheering them on, and I've had friends on both sides of the campaign spectrum.
Tay, I will say the one plus to me watching CNN for 3 straight days. I know she's a married woman, but damn, I got a crush on Abby Phillips at CNN.
She's beautiful.
She's a beautiful woman.
She is.
Oh, that woman is beautiful.
Beautiful. So, oh my gosh, she's amazing.
I'm married.
To wrap up the show, I know Tay she mentioned something to us pre-production that she wanted to say about the election. So instead of us doing a full bring it to the table with all 4 of us, we're giving the floor to Tay for bring it to the table. So Tay, the floor is yours.
So today, right, we found out that Joe Biden is not a president-elect to lead us to the next 4 years, right? It's been no secret that the past 4 years have been highly divisive, and identity politics have kind of taken over more traditional party politics, Republicans, Democrats. What I do want to say is that although Biden-Harris did win the ticket, and we are so proud that Kamala is the first Indian and Jamaican female vice president, first female vice president at all. What concerns me is how hard fought this election was and the road that we have ahead of us. You get what I'm saying? The real work, we did our job. It's time for them to do their jobs. You get what I'm saying? Because people of color are never marketed to when it comes to these elections. You know what I'm saying? And over again, Black women have been the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. And it's time for them to kind of give people like Stacey Abrams their flowers, who mobilized over 300,000 people to register to vote in the Atlanta metro area, right? And when it comes to Donald Trump, right, I never wanted Trump to fail, to be real with you, because a failure for our president is a failure for our country. But I do feel that even though I am more concerned with the people who felt racially emboldened by Trump than Trump's actions of his own. There were people in office that knew better, that know better, and continue to kind of put ego and race and discrimination over what's best for our country. And to Donald Trump, I felt like this should be a lesson in humility. Divisive politics can only get people but so far. He ran his campaign on a racist platform.